You want to knit a hat, but you're not sure where to start because there are just way too many patterns to choose from, and you don't even know how to narrow them down to find the good ones. Well, I asked other knitters about their favorite hat patterns, and they shared some great ones with me, so that's what we're looking at in this video. You can narrow down your choices by looking at what other knitters love to knit. Hey nerdy knitter, Tanya here. Boy, did you deliver when I asked about your favorite hat patterns. We have a ton of comments with some fabulous hat patterns. So we're going to sit down right now. I've got my laptop open. We're going to go through those comments and see what patterns other knitters recommend as their go-to hat knitting patterns. Let's go. So I posted this question about a week ago asking about your favorite hat patterns, and let's just go through these comments. This first one here, Amy says that she loves the Ross hat by Ross of Smells Like Yarn. He's here on YouTube. It's a perfect beanie pattern with directions using different weights of yarn. So let's go take a look at that pattern. Here is the Ross hat. Looks like you can download it right from his website. There's no cost or anything like that. It's totally free. Now this pattern is basically 4 patterns in one because it comes in different yarn weights. So you've got 4 patterns, one each for fingering or sock weight yarn, DK weight yarn, worsted weight yarn, and bulky yarn. So whatever you have in your stash, you'll probably find a hat pattern. One of the patterns here will fit. Now the hat itself looks like it has a 3x2 brim, and then like the crown decreases are just that basic swirl at the top. It does come in just one size. I peeked at this one a little earlier. So each of these hats, there you have the 4 different yarn weights, but just one size for each of them. But it's very simple. Like you could really just easily modify this to your own stitch count if you wanted to, but it's totally free. So that's our first recommendation, the Ross hat. Now, if we go back to our comments here, the next one is from Sally, and she really likes the Musselburgh hat, the one that she's recently purchased. So this one's not free, but she can see why it's a favorite for so many people. Now, I know the fit for a plain one in DK, she's going to customize and change the color halfway so she can have 2 hats. So let's go take a look at this Musselburgh hat. So the designer for this one is Ysolde Teague. Now this one is a double layer hat and multi-gauge beanie as well. So let's see what the notes say. It's a swatchless hat pattern, a double layer beanie with 4-point crown shaping. The multi-gauge pattern now includes 9 gauges for yarn weights between light fingering and DK and 6 sizes. So lots going on here. I can see why this one is so popular. Here's some pictures of the hat. So there's those 4-point crown decreases and increases. And I think the way this one is constructed is you start at the crown and you work your way out until it's the size you want, and then you stop with the decreases and you knit the first half of the hat, and then you do the second half, so it's sort of like 2 hats in one. You can see it with the brim not folded there. So it's double layer hat, and I like that it has so many different gauges and different sizes. So yeah, for one pattern, even though it's, well, on here I'm in Canada, so it shows up as Canadian, but even though it's a paid for pattern, you're getting so many patterns in one pattern that I can see why this is such a popular pattern to knit. So let's see who's next on our comment list. Origami Lady. I've been having fun knitting both the Squarshy hat, which is in a bulky yarn, and the Bankhead hat, which is in a worsted yarn, and the Sockhead hat. So we've got 3 hats here. Let's dive in and look at these. So here's the Squarshy hat. Oh, and this one is a free pattern. So this is knit with bulky weight yarn. Oh, I really like that slipped stitch in the middle that sort of gives it that texture. This would be really nice for variegated yarns. I really like slip stitch patterns with variegated yarns. Really pretty stitch pattern there where she slipped those stitches. So this one also says twisted stitches, bottom up, knit in the round. So a normal hat pattern. Okay, and Origami Lady also recommended the Bankhead hat. So that one is right here. Oh, this one looks like a really nice hat too. Pretty simple with just a little bit of texture striped in there. So let me see, in the round, 1 piece seamless. So it's probably a basic hat pattern. This one's also free. Named for her favorite ghost town. Okay, it comes in 5 sizes. Okay, so this one has that twisted rib for the brim. And then it looks like a knit purl pattern, or maybe a knit and a bit of like one single garter stitch right there. So something a little different. Looks like basic rib, but a little bit different. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, either reverse stockinette or garter stitch in there. So this is a great free pattern as well, the Bankhead by Susie Gourlay. Then Martina, she's got some recommendations here. The Magic Hat by P for Parsnip. This is her favorite pattern for newborn hats. And then Barley and Barley Light hats by Tin Can Knits. I've knit this one as well, one of my first hat knitting patterns. These are quick and easy, and I do them a lot for charity. And then the Sockhead Slouch Oat, which Origami Lady also mentioned, by Kelly McClure. That's her all-time favorite hat to knit for herself. So let's take a look at the Barley and the Sockhead Slouch. We can't look at every single pattern that everybody recommends because there's a lot of patterns here. So let's take a look at those two at least. So here is the Barley hat. This is another free pattern. So this hat can be knit as a snug beanie like the baby and adult samples by knitting to length for the pattern. For a sloucher hat, knit an extra inch or so in length before decreasing. And then they've got lots of finished sizes here from baby all the way to adult large. And it's free, of course. So this one is stockinette basic ribbed brim, and it's got that section of garter stitch in there. So for something a little bit different, not just a plain stockinette hat, we've got a bit of texture right there, you can see, and then the basic crown decreases up here. Lots of sizes, so this is a great free pattern. And she also recommended the Sockhead Slouch hat, we can see right here, by Kelly McClure. This is another free pattern. Now this one uses sock weight yarn, obviously, so if you have like that stash of sock yarn, this is a great way to use it up. So it looks like just a basic brim, just a rib brim, and then lots of stockinette. Crown decreases, I can't really see there. Let me see if we can see what they look like. Okay, so this one has like a gathered decrease, like circles, like concentric circles, sort of lots of them to make it really slouchy on the top. It looks like a quick gather top. So this is a great way to use up your skeins of single yarn. It looks like a lot of sizes available from baby to an extra large. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sizes. And most of them, it looks like, I mean, if you have a good size skein of sock yarn, 100 grams usually will give you about 400 yards, then you could knit any of these sizes. Then we have a comment here from Delia. She loves the Ross hat, which we've already seen, as well as the Jennika hat and the Lara hat, and on also her 1898 hat. So let's take a look at a couple of these hats. Here's the Jennika hat. So this one's not free, but it's a very pretty cable pattern. And it looks like it comes in 3 sizes, uses worsted weight yarn. So this one has a braid cable. Oh, and I like how she has the rib integrated into the cable. I always think that's just such a nice touch. So you can see the stockinette stitches in the rib are worked right into that braid. And it looks like she works the hat pattern, like she keeps the pattern as much as possible, even with the crown shaping, and that nice fluffy pom-pom's a nice finishing touch. Oh, I like the pink. That's really pretty. So this is in 3 sizes, a great way to practice your cable. So we can see the crown here. Yep, it does look like she incorporates the crown shaping right into the stitch pattern, which is always a nice touch. So she's made some thoughtful design choices with this. So this looks like a really nice hat to knit. It does say that it has a chart and written instructions. So hopefully it has both in there. So everybody can be happy with knitting their cables. I always like to use a chart when I'm knitting cables. I just find them a lot easier that way, but written instructions are great for cable patterns as well. So let's look at her other recommendation, the 1898 hat. This one looks very interesting. Okay, it's another free pattern. Looks like you can download it right here. It was inspired by one pictured in a magazine published around 1910. So you knit the headband side to side, and that provides a double layer of garter stitch to keep the ears warm. Okay, so you knit it side to side and then fold it over. And it has ear flaps. Okay, they're folded together along a slip stitch seam. And then you pick up to knit in the round for the head of the hat, I guess. Then there's plenty of depth, so it can be pulled low over the forehead, and the ear flaps will naturally cup around the ears to keep them warm. So this is a neat idea. So, okay, I see there, we've got that garter stitch. It's worked sideways and then folded, and then you knit the crown. So let's go see other people's projects and see if we can get some good pictures of what this looks like. Oh, this one has 5 photos. Let's take a look. Okay, so it looks, yes, you knit this part first, fold it over, and then you can knit the top part. What a neat way to knit a hat. That looks really interesting. So this one's free as well. So if we come back to our comments, the next one is from Kristen. She's been knitting Gretchen's Easy Tam by Lion Brand for about 10 years now. It's easy but looks complicated, and it's my favorite for gift giving. Here we go, Gretchen's Easy Tam. Let me see, this is knit in Heartland yarn. Yeah, medium weight yarn. So this is a worsted weight yarn. So we've got a basic brim, just a knit 2 purl 2 rib, and it looks like a stranded Fair Isle knitting along the hat. And I really like how they've done this crown decreasing here. It looks like there's some sort of a small cable there. That's really neat. And I like a tam. I like the fullness of a tam for myself. I like that extra fullness that a tam has. This looks like a really nice pattern. So of course it's a free pattern. You can download it right here. They list it as a level 2 easy beginner. So if you want to explore stranded color work, worsted weight yarn is nice because you don't have like tiny little fingering weight yarn and little needles, so you can get a good idea of how it works with thicker yarn and larger needles. So this looks like it could be a great pattern to start with. Now our next comment here from Desert Teach Cook. I've knit several quick ombre hats for kids. They're cute and the pattern is free. Also the twisted candy goes quick on bulky weight yarn. So let's take a look at those. The quick ombre hat. So this one is free, uses worsted weight yarn. Oh, I can see what she means. I think I've knit one of these before actually, come to think of it. So it's basic rib brim, stockinette stitch, but you're doing stranded knitting. But you're slowly incorporating your second color and then transferring or changing to the second color, so it's the more dominant one. So yeah, you get sort of this ombre effect. Of course, depending on the colors that you choose. So this is a free pattern. It looks like it comes in multiple sizes, from a small baby preemie size all the way up to an adult man. Okay, and her other recommendation was this twisted candy hat. Oh, this is really pretty. I like that sideways. It looks like a Latvian braid, but like a half Latvian braid, like the top part hasn't been finished. So this is super bulky yarn. It's like a Malabrigo yarn. They're because they have like that roving single ply kind of yarn. So you've got a basic knit 1 purl 1 brim here. And then it looks sort of like a Latvian braid, and then a bit of stockinette in between. Really fun idea for a hat. Yeah, it does. This reminds me of because a Latvian braid has a few different steps. This looks like step 1, and to make it like sort of an arrow shape, you would have another section going here to finish it, but she's just done the first half. I think that's what it looks like. So it looks like a cupcake. It's very cute. Okay, then we have one from Judy. She says she's knit multiple bubble beanie hats by Kristen McDonald from Studio Knits here on YouTube. And she learned how to read a chart by making both the February hat by Kate Osborne and In Transit by Allison O'Mahony. She's got lots of recommendations here, so you'll have to go and check out these comments to read all of them. Let's take a look at, let me see, a few of these. Let's start with that bubble beanie. And then, oh, there's one here by Pearl Soho. They always have really great photo tutorials, and their patterns are usually free. So let's take a look at those too. So here's our bubble beanie hat pattern for knitters from Studio Knit. Oh, that does look really fun. I'm not sure how to do that stitch pattern, but I bet it's a lot of fun. I like textured hats like that. And it looks like she used some sort of ombre yarn here to get that effect as well. Oh yes, she used that Caron cake yarn right here. So if you have some sort of gradient yarn, this would be a great pattern. So you can get the pattern right here. I'm not sure how many sizes this is. Oh, and there's a video tutorial as well. Okay, it looks like it's just one size, so you can find the tutorial here, and there's a video as well. Okay, let's go look at her other recommendation, the super soft merino hat for everyone from Pearl Soho. So this one, yeah, it looks like another one of those basic patterns that you can really have fun with. So you've got this wide brim, looks like a 3x3 maybe, and then stockinette body, and then those basic swirly crown decreases. But they've done lots of interesting things here. You've got solid colors and then these wide stripes, or different colors for each of the sections, or these just simple stripes, more stripes here. Lots of ways to take a pattern and really play with it. Okay, so let me see what size yarn this is. And of course it's a free pattern. It's right here. Oh, this is cute. Same hat pattern, but they've added pom-poms to it and also initials, monogrammed hats for everyone. Very cute. Okay, so this uses, it says, it doesn't say the yarn weight here, but US 11, so I'm guessing it's going to be a bulky yarn. So that's going to be very quick to knit up, and we've got lots of sizes from baby to men's, so 5 sizes there, and a whole photo tutorial walking you through how to knit it. And more recommendations here from Judy if you want to check out her other recommendations. And then Jane, not a hat that she won't knit. They're awesome for trying out stitch patterns. Definitely, I agree with that. Hard to pick a favorite, as I've easily knit over 100 different patterns and constantly have several on the needles, but Jared Flood is a favorite designer and I have knit plenty of his patterns. My favorite of his is the Koolhass pattern, and currently on her needles is the Mossy Lane by Daleside Knits, Cocoa Bean by Judith Marie Knits, Echinacea by the Fiber Co, and Dustland by Stephen West. So let's take a look at a few of these. So she recommends Jared Flood's pattern, and here's that hat, an architectural beanie. Oh, this is really pretty. So it's got a basic rib brim, and then I can't tell if that's twisted stitches or just sort of like traveling stitches. But very pretty, and I love how he incorporates the stitch pattern right up into the crown. That's really nice. So this is a paid for pattern, uses their worsted weight yarn. Oh, and it first appeared in the fall 2007 issue of Interweave Knits. It was inspired by the work of Dutch architect Rem Koolhass. His geometric structural patterns at the Seattle Public Library informed the cabled lattice motif encircling the beanie. So let's see, basic construction. Okay, it looks like it's 2 sizes, a small, medium size, and a large size. And the stitch pattern is charted only on this one, so that is something to note. But that's really, I really like the construction of this. That's a really pretty hat. I can see why you like Jared Flood hats. Okay, and Jane also recommended the Cocoa Bean by Judith Marie Knits. Now this one is worsted weight. Let me see, how many sizes does it come in? Doesn't really say here. Looks like 1 size, meant for 20 to 22 inch head, but hats have a lot of give, so that's definitely workable for lots of head sizes. So not a free pattern, but I like the textures in this. You've got a basic knit 1 purl 1 rib. You've got some garter stitch, and it looks like maybe another type of rib here, and then more garter. So lots of fun play with texture on this hat. Oh, and the crown looks really fun too. Great hat. Cocoa Bean hat by Judith Marie Knits. Okay, so let's see what everyone else has to say. There's so many comments here. Geraldine is another vote for the Ross hat and his other patterns. And then Derek says the Ross hat, the Sockhead Slouch, and the Musselburgh hats are the go-to. So we've seen these all before, so we know that knitters love them. They're mentioning them more than once here. Okay, and then we have, I love the Odessa hat, the semi-Swedish hat. We call them Pirates hat, and the Orchard on the Hill hat. Okay, so let's take a look at the Odessa hat. That sounds like I just like the name of that one. So Odessa by Grumperina. Here's another free pattern. Oh, this looks really fun. I just like it when they incorporate the stitch pattern into the rib. That's really nice. So we've got this swirly rib going on here. And there is something going on in there. I don't know if it's just a purl stitch. This is an interesting hat. I really like this. I have to look at this pattern, I guess. So this one's free, using DK weight yarn. I think it looks like just 1 size. Oh, and it's beads. That's what we're seeing in there. The beads are a wonderful detail. Okay, we still have a few more comments here. Frat says she loves to knit socks, but she's never knitted hats before. Oh, down here, knee deep in stitches, the Musselburgh hat again. And then Linda Rose has a lot of recommendations. The One Night Hat by Susan Ashcroft, the 1898 hat by Kristine Byrnes, which we've already seen, the Vermonter by Abby Gregorio, which is a crochet hat, the perfect V-stitch, and then more down here, Pennyroyal, Bulkyrama Kiwi, the Rika hat, and another crochet hat, and Aspen Hollow by Andrea Mowry. So many great things. Let's look at this One Night Hat by Susan Ashcroft. It's another free pattern. One size, so an adult size head, pretty much using an Aran weight yarn. So some kind of a textured pattern going on here. It's very pretty. So this is another great one to check out for variegated yarn. I like those type of textured patterns for that. So this is a free pattern. And then she also mentioned an Andrea Mowry pattern, her Aspen Hollow. So this one has lots of texture as well. And I like the brim now. It's not a basic rib brim. It's sort of this sideways pattern going on here. And some garter, some rib up there. It looks like brioche maybe. And then more of that texture going on here. So this looks like a really fun pattern. Lots of texture. It says it's addicting to knit as you move from one fun stitch pattern to the next. And they play well together to form a flattering slouchy style. Yeah, you can see the texture working all the way up to the crown. Oh, even up here in the crown. That's really neat that she's incorporated the decreases right into the shaping. So that was a lot of hat patterns. If you've had trouble narrowing down all of your choices, then take a look at the patterns that we've seen here today, recommended by other knitters, some of them by more than one knitter. So there are definitely some great patterns for you to explore. But there's also more that we could discuss about knitting hats. The different ways you can work the brim and the crown decreases, or even how you can construct the hat, the proper way to block your finished hat, the fiber choices and the yarns that you should think about using. So much that we could discuss. And I've got a video where we sit and chat all about that. So you can grab your knitting, perhaps cast on one of these hats, and let's chat about knitting hats. So click right there on that video and I'll see you over there.